오민주제 바람에도 좀 산진 군진고 원이라서 조금 것은 돈 반자벨라면 잘라서 왔는데 라만 산젤라마죠 되젤라만 군년에 군지세 발라만 라만 남라 찬자로 만들라면 만다발라 그지자로 도미지 진짜로 또 뭐고질라면서나 사는 주분주 산지 군인 전에 시도지 신노는 연맹도 신다 그런 버집에만 동안은 소완데 지다진 시사도 무슨 코어도는 봐줘야 제대로 맞아서 안 될까도 좀 그런 넘버로 조진낭 메시지로 조절을 만들어야는데 야동으로 다 해쳐서 친구고던 조진도 진행 쇼가 관점하고 좀 바간지 주고 되면 대신 조절은 괴샤로서 완데 라마산제 라마준데 전라만 근년에 군지세 볼라마야 라마남나 찬사로 라이케도 로는 쟁도 본다다미 게임도 군지도 남제자바 탐쟁겐도 나게 춘된도 로초준도 와선지로 처럼도 롬바선지로 롬초바서 와선지로 춘낭이 지존 자와 zen제로 수돈 자와 군지 지나 버는 접에 선제만 잠발이 신도 부소한데 좌신 된건 로바 zen제로 so respectfully putting in front all my humble respects to all venerable the Lama, the nun, and the senior disciples, Dharma sisters, Dharma brothers, and everybody, and to everybody who is partaking in the Zoom teaching. I have to say one thing, if you don't mind. If the cameraman can just stop for a few minutes, because it's a little bit distracting for me. I'm so sorry. You do not realize that I get anxieties when you take picture of my face. Yes. Okay, thank you so much. That was great. God bless you. So, as you all know, today I was, of course, as always, Kanying Dharma Center, connected very strongly to my late father, Tsikechonli Rinpoche, my uncle, Chujnyama Rinpoche, my brother, Pancho Rinpoche, and so forth. And of course, connected to Tuku Ujin Rinpoche, my grandfather, and Sonyi Rinpoche, Minju Rinpoche, all the sons of Tuku Ujin Rinpoche also. And very strongly, Momo told me many times to come here and to visit and give teaching, and all our beloved Sangha members of Malaysia Center also mentioned for me to come in this time and to give a short teaching. So of course I was at first a little bit reluctant to accept, because I felt a little bit shy in some sense. My character, I am a very shy person, because I am very careful, especially when it's come to the topic of Dharma teaching, explaining, as they say in the Sanskrit, Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha Gautama. So I'm very careful with such things, because I do not want it to be devalued. I do not want misunderstandings in the Buddhism. I do not want people to feel like that I come here and I'm some great master and that will propagate all of you some great teachings and all of that, And I do not wish to mislead people also. So I am very careful with these things. this matter. But I was happy to take upon the opportunity to come here and to share about, especially today, I believe the topic is explaining the meaning of rituals, pujas, and also vajrayana in these modern times. In one way, everybody here gathered will kind of, in some sense, perceive oneself as a Buddhist. We all like to call ourselves the Buddhist, proudly. But we don't necessarily understand what that means, Buddhist. We think, wear the mala on your hand and bow in front of monks and lamas, Rinpoches, so make the offering, go to see the temple, chant some mantras and so forth, is enough to be a Buddhist. So what I would like to explain here today very precisely is that the meaning of Buddhism, or a Buddhist, as we call ourselves as, is actually you are representing the three jewel itself, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. You are representing the three jewel itself, very predominantly. So it's not a simple matter. Also, when you associate yourself as a Buddhist, you are also saying, I myself as a human, I represent a person who is willing to partake in the path of nurturing oneself to be a better person, genuine person, a person who dedicate themselves to be at the best version of themselves. Also a person who would take an promise, a willing promise, to make sure that you yourself personally say whatever you conduct verbally, physically, mentally, will always be assured to be beneficial to yourself and to be not harmful to anybody else. And most importantly, you are also representing that you are a person who is willingly dealing with your mind head on without avoiding it. So I must tell you, when you represent yourself as a Buddhist, when you call yourself as a Buddhist, please understand what you are saying, understand what you are representing, understand what you mean by that. Okay? It's very important. I'm sure many of you are well aware of it. I'm just humbly, reminding you, Yeah? Also, one thing very important. I know in our Asian culture, as I am Asian myself, okay? All of us Asians, we have found a very good way to excuse ourselves not to practice Dharma so much, We like to maneuver out of it. We like to maneuver out of all the personal, practices, personal homeworks, so to speak, to practice the Dharma properly. You see, in our Asian culture, we always like to say, I am Buddhist. Why? Because I go to the temple. I make offering. I put the jaw stick and offer, as if like the Buddha can't get enough scent and perfume. Yeah? So the Buddha can't get enough water. Buddha, please drink the water I'm offering you. So the most funniest thing is, I find it so epic. I look at our fellow Tibetans, the Chinese, and all of you, it's so funny. You go to the temple, you go to in front of the lamas and monks and nuns and whoever, you make offering, you do meditation, you partake pujas and rituals and whatnot. And you are all so very well behaved and what. But when you are in your own personal space, then you fight, you curse, you hate people, you say bad things about people, you do all kinds of bad things, negative things, let's say, yeah? So Asian people have found a very good secret, let's say, where we say, I am Buddhist, I am really Buddhist. I don't know good or not, but I am Buddhist, I am Buddhist practicing, but it is okay, it's acceptable, I don't practice the Dharma much. That's the monk and lama, Rinpoche nun's job. Our job is to pray and to make offerings. So I feel that is a big misunderstanding. You see, during the time of the Buddha, what did Buddha do? We must mind ourselves very carefully. I do not wish to reminiscence the past. I don't want to be like some person, sentimental person saying, oh my God, do you remember the old good days? That doesn't matter. What I wish to remind you is the time of the Buddha, he made sure everybody is a part of the Buddhism. Everybody is the part of the Dharma. Everybody has a role to play in this. Everybody matters. Everybody practicing the Dhamma matters. Not just the monk, not just the bhikkhu, not just the nuns and everybody. Everybody's responsibility to practice the Dhamma properly. Now, sadly, here comes Tibetan Buddhism, and I know I take full responsibility for this. I am very sure many Tibetan Lama Rinpoche and all that will be very upset with me. So I must say, due all respect, I am sorry. I don't mean to be rude to them, But it is our fault. The Tibetan Lama, you know why? Because what do the Tibetan Lamas first when they come to places like Malaysia, Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, we must do Zambala Puja. We must do a lot of fire puja. Yeah? We must do a lot of sang puja. We must do a lot of powerful Mahakala puja. That make everybody feel like, oh my God, we are doing something. Basically, what we are trying to tell you is we want to fool you and get as much money as we can. But we don't want you to know that. We don't want you to know that. We don't want you to point your finger at me and us and say, oh my God, you Tibetan Lamas are so bad. You're robbing us with money. We are not robbing you as money. Did we rob you money? We do not rob your money. We do not put a gun on your head saying, hey, you no. We did not say, oh, you give me money or else you go to hell. Of course not. We did not say the Mahakala will eat you alive if you don't give me money. Of course not. We just said, we will provide you with pujas. You just provide with us any amount of offering. It is acceptable. Yeah. Okay? So this is how the situation happened, So you see, very grateful, you see, to my late father, always continuously reminding me, okay? I know many of you have close encounter, very close connection with Rinpoche, you will know. My late father Rinpoche, continuously to me, he reminded me with one point. When you practice Buddhism, you wish to be taught, nurtured in the best, genuine way in Buddhism. That's the same thing you must conduct when you give Dharma teaching to people. Do not look at people and think, oh, this is all my benefit. Look at them and say, I am not the best Buddhist practitioner. I have not reached the highest level, but may I do my best. I have the Buddha, the Shri, my Guru, the Daka, Dakini, Vajrayogini, and the Mahakala all surrounding me as a witness to make sure I do right, my motivation is right, my body, speech, mind is right today at this gathering of the Dhamma. Yeah? So my late father always used to tell me, please remind yourself that. And he used to tell me one more thing. He said, the best thing you can achieve in your life is to be a genuine person and to be a genuine Dhamma practitioner. So what my late father Rinpoche told me, the instructions he gave me, I never forgot those two things. Always reminding them to myself, of course, every single moment. So, one thing very important that we must understand is, for vajrayana, when we conducting pujas, rituals, either it is a one-day puja or either it is a one-week drupchen, everything consisting of meditation, visualization, and when we are conducting that, we must have the three elements in our mind. What is the three elements? Bodhicitta, okay, detachment, yeah, and devotion to the Guru, devotion to the Dhamma, to the practice and the path that we're practicing. Okay, these are the three elements we are always intertwined with when we conduct such. And when we conduct a puja, it's not an easy thing to do. Okay? Because when we conduct the puja, when we conduct any kind of rituals, we have to constantly reminding ourselves of the whole visualization, the whole meditation, without hindered with any kind of unnecessary thinking, thoughts, unnecessary temptation, and mundane, dualistic thoughts, and distractions. So that's why in that time it's very, very serious matter. It's a very serious matter, and if you do not have the proper motivation for that, if you do not have the proper mind for that, it is very difficult to perform any proper puja or ritual. So when we perform a puja and a ritual with the wrong motivation, with the wrong mind, with a lot of temptation, distraction and all of that, and over unnecessary thinking, everything goes very wrong, and a lot of problems and obstacles arises from that, and harmful for the teacher and the lamas and monks who are conducting the puja, and for the participants who are participating in that puja or ritual or whatever drupchen or whatever it is. So that's why it's very important that we are reminded constantly, vajrayana is not doable. Vajrayana is not understandable. Vajrayana is not possible to understand or even to do without including and intertwining the mind itself. Without that, it is impossible. Impossible. That is why, even in one of the quotes of Guru Rinpoche's quote to Khandru Ishitsoja, he said, the puja we conduct, drupchens and puja, sometimes is 3 days, sometimes is 1 week or something, is equivalent to a 3-year retreatant. Why? Because the amount of step-by-step amount of visualization and meditation we are required to do in a puja and a drupchen is the same amount we are required to do in a 3-year, 3 months retreat. So you can see the in-depth meaning and profoundness of such. So it has to be taken properly. Okay? Of course, when situations arise where we perform pujas, and like for example, as I was teasing all of you a few minutes ago, when Tibetan lamas and people come along and we start to do pujas of Zambala and Kurukule and Kurukule I should not talk about too much. I also do it myself, so yeah. So that's not included, not Kurukule, not Kurukule. Zambala, definitely. And also puja of like wealth puja. All this wealth puja is a complete, utter rubbish. Utter rubbish. I was a point in time in my life when I had not much money. So I was thinking, Zambala. Everybody talk about that. So I thought, okay, let's do Zambala. So I did Zambala. Nothing happening. I laid a clean, what do you call that, tray next to my bed, hoping, Zambala, give me some money. Nothing worked. Not even one penny came along at that moment of Zambala time, or whatever wealth time, So then I thought to myself, I laughed at myself. I thought I was very ignorant. Because when we chase after mundane temptation, using the dharma, we are very stupid. We are banging our head on the wall. But when we conduct the dharma practice, the dharma rituals in the proper way, then we start to understand and appreciate the development process of that path itself. Yeah? So I would definitely suggest all of you who have come here, you have all come here from different background, Some you may be also following Mahayana Theravada possible, or also you have different lineage teachers, Nyingmapa, Satyapa, Gelupa, Gajupa, I don't know who. But one thing I would like to request you is, as much as you know much more better than me, please remind yourself with one thing. Vajrayana without mind, impossible. And one thing very important, one thing we always say as a Vajrayana practitioner, what do we say? Buddha is the mind, Guru is the mind, Yidam, main deity, is the mind, Dakini is the mind, everything is the mind. Why do we repeat that? The mind, the root nature of the mind is empty itself, not empty space or empty cup, but innate nature of it is emptiness, pure in its own form, just like that. So we must understand the mind, no separable to the Guru, to the Dakini, to the Yidam, and to the wisdom and to Buddha. Because what is the root nature of all of them is empty by its innate nature. Just like that, inseparable to our mind. That is why we Buddhists, we always say again and again to ourselves, when we become enlightened, for normal Buddhists we say enlightenment or Buddha nature, don't we? In the Vajrayana we say you are recognizing the inner nature of mind, or so to speak, Rikpi Yishe Motreba. Yeah? How to say, recognizing the primordial wisdom. Yeah? Or lack of a better word, I always like to, relate to the great master Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche's words. Wisdom, limitless wisdom, or wisdom that has gone beyond its limit. I think Rinpoche's terminology, Rinpoche uses Yishi Cholwa, crazy wisdom. I can understand in my own ignorant way what that means is the wisdom has gone with no limit. All of this is not like we are receiving something that we do not have. We are just recognizing, reconnecting back to something what we already have. Yeah, it's like as if somebody comes to you and say, hello, you actually have it with you. Just look at it, recognize it, and be with it, and utilize it. Then we are like, oh, that makes sense now. That makes sense. That is ultimate blessing. Ultimate blessing is when you become more calm, when you can generate more, how would I say, bodhicitta, wisdom, yeah, detachment, when you can dedicate more time to dharma practice. That is real blessing. Not real blessing when you start to connect to the unseen. Oh my God, yeah, everybody talk about death. In Malaysia, I realize people have this thing. Few years ago, one time I experienced in Malaysia, there was one elderly couple who came to me seriously, and they said, we have a serious matter to discuss with you. And I said, of course. They said, we are under attack of black magic. I think in Malay language they say bomo, yeah. So I said, I was completely, lack of a better word, dumbfounded. I had no word to express. I said, huh? I said, black magic? So there should be a white magic. So I said, what happens? So they explained to me that when they open the fridge, a frog and snake comes out. They, sometimes when in their house, scorpions and insects crawl. I said, that sounds a bit like not taking care of your home properly. And that sounds like good maintenance is important. I said, there's one more thing I should be saying, but as a Buddhist, I am not allowed to say. But what is that is, we may require pest control. But I'm not allowed to say that. I'm the Buddhist. I'm not allowed to say that. The Buddha, Buddha, to what me? I can't say that. So you see, like that. In Malaysia, I realize in our Asian culture, we have a lot of belief in these kind of things. I have no answer to that. I have heard many stories of great masters, including my predecessor, Khentse Rinpoche. When they're great masters, they can, help people who have these kind of traumas. If you ask me, do I believe in spirits? Definitely I do. I do believe this earth, as we Tibetans say, Nzamuling, or in how to say, in Indian or in Malay they say dunya. Yeah. So in this world, I believe it does not belong to us. I believe the earth belongs to many life forms that we can't really pinpoint to explain. Some we can't even see, but it belongs to everybody. So of course I do believe in many things that can't be seen with our eyes or whatever. But do I believe them very importantly, like they are the number one priority? Definitely not. I think to put our attention in Dharma practice is more important than putting our attention in these matters. Also, I believe that, so you see, great masters, even my own late father Rinpoche, personally I witnessed my late father Rinpoche helping many people who have spirit possession problems. He was a wonderful, great master, so he was managed to do such. I am not the great master at all, and I'm a very practical person. I'm not very superstitious. I'm quite practical. So when the couple came to me, I had no answer to that, no solution for that. Every solution I gave them did not really come to their need, or let's say, lack of a better word, help or assistment. So I felt very bad because I thought, okay, they came all the way to meet me for just that question. So I thought maybe I need to give an answer for that. It's not nice for me to not give an answer and just say bye-bye, So I said to them, maybe if possible, let's see what we can do. We do some
analyzation on these matters. So I asked them if you could just take some pictures, and if you have some pictures to show me a sign if these things really happen or not. So the husband showed me some pictures. He said, this is the proof these things happen. So you see, something came in my mind that was a little bit, I was in a little bit of a dilemma, if I may say so. Because in one hand, we are Buddhists, aren't we? We are Buddhist practitioners. We follow the Dhamma, the three jewels, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. But when this kind of matters happen, what is solution for that? During the time of the Buddha, even great, vicious, violent murderers like Angulimala, he subdued them with compassion, with explanation, with mirror image of what will happen to them, the consequences of their action. Since I am not Buddha, I can't do that. So the best thing I could do for them is offer Dharma teaching, prayers and Dharma teaching, you see. But you see, the big problem is, I notice when Buddhism becomes an opening door to unnecessary superstition, unnecessary beliefs, and say, lack of a better word, dwelling and poking finger into the spirit world or whatever, I find this very unnecessary waste of time. For example, when we have the opportunity to practice Dharma, when we have the opportunity to practice the teachings of the Buddha, we kind of take that for granted. We kind of think to ourselves, okay, I have time, we'll do it later. Now I want to focus on what's important to me personally. So it becomes like an individualism importance. You see, our individual importance comes in front, and Buddha teaching and practice of the Dhamma becomes later. That's not acceptable. If I may quote from the Shantideva, Jasachamba Shivala, he said, Dani daki goyente, Dani daki dayayin, lek ta nyamba chepala, Dani daki pangboins. He said, if I quote, you do virtuous or non-virtuous deeds, you have negative motivation or positive motivation. All deeds, all accountable deeds, all accountable motivations and everything come to you. You are the master of yourself, you are the judge for yourself, and you are the one who has the final decision maker of yourself. If you want to follow the right and proper and positive way, or the wrong and harmful or negative way. So this is something I always reminding myself with, and I always think it's very important we also remind ourselves with that. We are all human beings, Human being, we are very advanced, mechanism. We are a very advanced mechanism. And this computer, this Zoom, this camera, all of this technology we created. This whole house we created. This whole country or technology we have created. We are capable of creating such advanced technology, but the big problem with us is we have one big issue as a human. We love to waste time. We love to waste opportunity. We like to be lazy. We like to be negative. We like to lie. We like to be fake. We like to be, unvirtuous. We like to make excuses. We love to do things that are very unnecessary. We don't like to do things that are important and beneficial and necessary. This is kind of our style or habit, so to speak, We all do this. It is all of you, me, all of us, So it's very important, I find. You see, the crucial point is very important that we need to remind ourselves constantly. Gentle reminder. Where are we heading? What are we doing? Please make sure we are not wasting our time making silly excuses and silly, laziness. Let us not fall in the unnecessary wrong way. Let us come back to our path, And very important also. We must also remind ourselves the Buddha Dharma teaching will not teach by itself. The Buddha Dharma teaching does not perform miracles and magics. The Buddha Dharma is not for using to fulfill our personal human wishes and achievement and mundane requirements. The Buddha Dharma is about making to understand more clearly and carefully about ourselves. Also, the Buddha Dharma is about making us aware of our own mind, making carefully of what we are, what kind of mind we have, what kind of way of being. Hello? Okay. Hello? It's okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think you
Oh.
here.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So just now is compressed.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. It says made in Taiwan. I didn't know that terrible. Okay. So, yes, going back to the main point. I think we as a Dharma practitioner, we have to do a lot of things to remind ourselves. There's a lot of work we need to do to our own self, And I want to tell you, all of you, the truth. I myself included, I am not the best level practitioner or whatever, Lama Rinpoche or whatever. I am still trying to climb that ladder of the Dharma path. I have a lot of desire, attachment, ego, anger, all of that with me. It's just every day I'm trying my best to be aware. The one thing I always tell myself, you see, is very helpful for me. The one thing I always tell myself is the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, Guru, the Daga, the Dakini, and Dharma protectors are all watching every single moment of time. Every single minute, second passes by, they are watching me. They see everything. So make sure I am always aware and mindful. And I am not lazy and wasting time and, dozing away into distractions and whatnot, So this is something I always remind myself, and it's very important. Especially as a Dharma person, as we call ourselves Dharma person, Dharma followers, Dharma followers. In Tibetan, we say Chuk in Jinju, so Dharma followers. We Dharma followers. There is this very good English saying, doctors make the worst patient. We have to remind ourselves, worst people sometimes become Dharma practitioners. So make sure we do not become the opposite of what we want to become. We following the Dharma practice to become better people. Even if we don't become enlightenment far away. And one thing I want to talk about is when we practice the Buddhism, it is not about chasing after the meaning of enlightenment or nirvana or reaching to Sandopare, but it is about the process, the process may take a very long time. But during that process, that is the time where we as a person, we as an individual improve, intertwine in the Dharma, improve, and whatever practice we do, it is in sync. Like if you have a earbud, nowadays we use earbuds. Earbud and your mobile phone connecting in syncing through Bluetooth. Just like that, your mind and the Dharma in sync at once. Inseparable, completely inseparable. So in sync together at once. So that is the time happens during the process. But that only happens if we are serious enough to practice the Dharma. It does not happen if we are not serious about the Dharma. If we just dilly-dally in the Dharma, then nothing works. Nothing works. And one more thing I want to tell all of you is there is no such thing as a good Dharma practitioner and a bad Dharma practitioner. There's only two words: Dharma practice or don't Dharma practice. Yeah? I've heard many people who say, "Oh, I'm not good Dharma practitioner." Like, I don't know what you want me to say to you. "Oh, so sorry. Oh, don't give up, okay?" Like, hello, come on. Yeah. What do I look like? Your military, training captain or something? Come on. Yeah, I'm not here to give you that kind of I support you. Duh. Waste of time. Very important that you remind yourself that you're on the right path, that you are practicing the Dharma. Why Milarepa? Why great masters of the past, the Panditas, the 84 Mahasiddhas, the Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, why are they all great? Why? Because every single moment of their time, they utilize it to practice the Dharma constantly. Their whole cycle of their life evolved with the Dharma, with the principle of the Dharma. With the principle of the Dharma, with the dignity of a genuine human being and the principle of the Dharma. That is what we must be doing. All of you should not look at yourself and say, "I am a lay person, I have a job, children, family to take care, I can never be like them." Not ever think like that. As I said, even during the time of the Buddha, he makes sure everybody plays a role in this Dhamma. Buddha makes sure beggars, poor people, kings, everybody is included. Women, men, everybody, no matter where you come from, no matter whatever your background. He said one thing: you are a human, use your human life properly. Utilize that opportunity. That is what he said. So we must follow that also. We must take this opportunity to make that promise to ourselves, not to anybody. Not to anybody else. One more thing I want to tell you all. You may all be quite acquainted with practicing Vajrasattva and making confessions. I want to tell you about that. When you make a confession, there's two confessions you're making. If you know this or not, no, I don't know. But I'm just humbly reminding you. The first confession we make is to the Buddha, to our Guru, and to the main deity of that particular practice you're doing, Vajrasattva, so forth. The second confession we are doing actually is to ourselves, to our mind. We are saying, "Oh, I want to remind myself to be better, to be one step ahead, to improve myself, to be better up." Not down, better up. We always need to have the motivation as you remember this story, this famous story of the tortoise and the rabbit. We have to be always the tortoise. Always have to be that. Never give up. Always stay on the right track. always believe in ourselves and have trust and confidence and do our best. That is something we must have. All of you have no problem doing job, taking care of family, all of that. You should not be having any problem and excuses to practice dharma. That is our number one priority, So keep that in mind. You don't need to suffer. Like olden day time, people had to go to length. There were times where normal people had to go to receive teachings. They had to say bye-bye, goodbye to their loved ones and family and everybody, because we do not know if they will return back alive. Because when you take very long journeys those days, sicknesses, bandit, wild animals, all kinds of natural elements, anybody can die at any moment in that long voyage to meet a particular teacher in a different country to receive teachings. But people sacrifice everything to go there, receive their teaching, write down all the notes and teaching and sutra and shastras, and bring that back to their own country and share that amongst everybody, saying, oh, this is what my teacher taught me, and this is his root lineage. This is what he told me. The Buddha said, let us all practice it together. So you see, that much importance people put, that time. So we do not need to do all of that sacrifice and whatnot at that time, because different time, different world, different situation, different circumstances. Now we live in a different circumstances. We should be very lucky. Every day we should be reminding ourselves how lucky we are, because we are so easy accessibility to the dhamma, the teaching of the Buddha, the vajrayana, the practice. So by that meaning, please always make sure you reminded yourself of that. Very, very important, Same time, I would like to also say, I think, sometime we must also understand one thing, When we have impermanence happen in our life, the whole world is experiencing very much suffering and impermanences. We have natural disasters, we have famine, we have war and conflict, we have pandemics and so forth. People are constantly dying and really suffering. We are exposed to so much suffering constantly. And we individually also, we are constantly exposed to suffering in our own way, in our own world, in our own family, in our own job, in our own field, in our own environment. When you suffer, please make sure you keep one thing in your mind. How much you suffer, don't ever give up. How much you suffer, how much dirt and how much harsh reality you face and experience. More you experience that, more remind yourself, I want to do everything I can. I don't give up. I don't give up. You don't give up. You do your best. Be the best version of a human being. Be the best version in the Dharma practice. It's very important. It's very easy for us to give up. When we suffer, when we struggle, then we tend to give up, We tend to give up on ourselves. When I say give up, I don't mean we throw everything like that. No. We naturally have this tendency in our own mind, like we like to slowly, in a small way, give up. We start to lose trust, we start to lose this, we start to be very sad and depressed and down. Let's not do that. I know it's easier said than done. For example, if I give you a personal example, I can't compare myself to you, but in my life, I have also experienced many difficult, harsh situations. When that happens, I always remind myself with one thing: do my best. Do my best. If I have conducted something that I have wronged, and do everything I can to do it right. Apologize, make it up, make better, improve myself. if I have not done wrong, if people have put much negativity on me because of negativity in their mind and jealousy, hatred, envious, whatnot, just because for the pleasure of putting suffering on me, I always keep one thing in mind. Heart of forgiveness, heart of kindness, heart of genuineness. My late father, Seki Chonro Rinpoche, always said one thing to me. He said, how do you determine if you are a genuine person or if you're a genuine Dhamma practitioner is, you can tell at the moment when you suffer the most. When you're suffering the most and when you are exposed to so much harshness, so much very vicious reality, then you are determined. Two choice. You become just like them, vicious, violent, aggressive, aggressor, or you choose the other way. You look beyond that and say, I am victorious one. I am the victorious one. So we say, victory over aggression, victory over negativity, victory over ignorance, victory over all the non-virtuous deeds, thoughts and speech. That is very important. That is very important. You see, because all of us, we as a human being, we do suffer a lot, including me. In that moment of time, we have different methods as a human to find our own way to cope with that, coping mechanism. Yeah, coping mechanism. I would tell you the best coping mechanism I discovered is always you have to keep a room in your mind, in your heart, a space of genuine kindness, genuine forgiveness, and genuine positivity. That really helps a lot. Because none of us are willing to forgive people who have wronged us. Yeah? We think, oh, how dare we do that? Oh, my God. You know. That person is the one who wronged. I'm not wrong. Yeah. So we don't want to admit that. Yes, you are absolutely right. You are the innocent. That person is the aggressor. That person has wronged you. But do you wish to be like that person, or do you wish to be better than that person? That is the question, you know. You see, in my life, I was extremely lucky. I met some teachers. I received many teachings from them. One of them has passed away, sadly. His name is Nomang Yangtang Rinpoche. He is half Sikkimese, half Tibetan. He lived many years in Tibet practicing, and then a wonderful great teacher. And one is still alive. He lived sometime in China, Hong Kong, and sometime in America, England. His name is Allah Zengar Rinpoche. Wonderful great teachers. Why I'm saying they're great teacher is these people, these teachers, during the occupation of Tibet by the Chinese Red Army, this teacher were faced with unspeakable torture, beating, humiliation, putting in prison, you know, all kinds of these things, you know, put gun on their head, constant like that, have hardly enough food to eat. I had the great, opportunity to receive wonderful advices, teachings from these two masters that I mentioned to you right now. They are very closely connected to my predecessor, Khentse Rinpoche. So the one question I asked both of them is, when you look at Chinese right now, nowadays Chinese people or Chinese soldiers, do you feel a slight sense of sadness? They said no. They told me, even during the time in prison, when they were, you know, amongst the time of when the Chinese military oppression was so strong, the death is, you know, untimely. We don't know when you will get shot on the head or whatever. He said, even at that time, they still manage to, you know, accumulate or give rise in their mind compassion, loving compassion to the Chinese oppressors, loving compassion to the Chinese oppressors, and wishing them that they will not suffer because of their negative actions and deeds they have conducted. And no sense of even a slight bit of aggression, hatred, anger towards them, or a hatred, or discomfort, or dislike. Full forgiveness, full loving kindness towards them. Now when I heard that, it hit me deeply. It really hit me deeply. Because I thought, this is a completely different level. We as a human right now, we can't even deal with negative people in our life. I mean, those days they were dealing with people who would almost kill them or torture them. Happily. And there is still compassion. And still every day praying for them, saying, oh, I don't know their names, but I really wish they don't suffer because of bad karma. I always praying for them, always praying for their family, for them. They don't suffer. They always have bodhicitta, they have kindness, they're forgiven, constantly and genuinely. But this is something I am amazingly, I am truly inspired. I am very much encouraged by these things. Because this kind of thing, this kind of a notion doesn't come easily in our mind. You see, all of you all can vouch that when you suffer in your life, when you suffer not because of yourself, but when you suffer because of somebody else, you all have discomfort, dislike, unhappiness, don't want to forgive. I'm sure it's not easy for you to look at that person and say, I really forgive you. I have no anger. And even if you are suffering, I come to help you. If you need help, I will help you. And if one day you are sick in the hospital, I come and help you, whatever you need. We won't do that, would we? We are a little bit hesitant for that, yeah? And so to speak, secretly, we will be in our mind, oh, I'm very happy he's suffering, yeah? We do that, yeah, we do that, You see, I was very strongly, in my life, many times in my life, I have experienced this kind of negative moments and always being challenged. I'm very happy that I'm challenged because I feel it's a good opportunity to see if I'm good enough. And I'm not happy with myself. I still need to work on myself and I need to improve more, better. But I can give you one funny scenario. Is when my late father Rinpoche was in Singapore for long-term treatment. I'm sure all of you are well aware of that. There were a few times I had to go here and there to take the taxi. As you know, in Singapore, many of the taxi drivers are elderly people, senior members, senior citizens, uncles and aunties and so forth. I'm not saying all of you are like that, yeah? But the taxi driver, precisely, the Singaporean taxi drivers love to talk, yeah? So there were a few times where I am very exhausted whole day because I'm here and there doing this work, that work, this, that. So I need to go to, I need to, Momo, you okay? Momo. Water. Momo, you okay? Okay. Put water. Sure. Oh, okay. So, you see, there was one moment of time where what happened to me was I was taking the taxi to go to one place, destination. So I was putting in my earbuds at that time because I was watching some documentary about World War II. I'm always fascinated by history, so I was just watching the World War II history, And the funny thing is, I was watching a documentary about the occupation of Singapore by the Japanese. So I was watching that, and the taxi driver, it was an uncle, elderly uncle, and he was driving, and he started to talk about all kinds of things, politics, money, all kinds of things. So I didn't respond to him because I was in my earbuds, Suddenly, I thought I've heard a loud kind of a scream yelling at me. When I looked up, I saw the driver doing this to me. So when I took out my AirPods and I said, sorry sir, what were you saying? And he was yelling at me so much. He said, you can't hear me, I'm talking to you. What is this? You young people, that's so rude. So it just, at the back of my head, as I was very tired that day, and this sudden sense of anger from the back of me just went boom. So I thought, oh, what do I do now? If I hit you, I may have to go to the jail. That's very embarrassing. So what do I do? So so much boiling thought happened, And I was so angry, my hands started to shake a bit. So then I want to talk, but I don't know how to talk because my voice, my when you get very angry, very furious, your throat, clench. You can't talk. So that happened to me. So I don't know what to say, Yeah. Immediately I thought, oh, calm down. Kindness. It was my fault. I was rude. He talked to me. I was busy putting my AirPods and not responding. It was my fault. So I want to be polite. So I am so sorry, sir. I didn't mean like that. Just busy watching a documentary and I didn't hear you. Forgive me. What were you saying? So I think he just wanted to, stop the awkward moment at that time, clear the air, so to speak. He said, okay, what are you watching? And I said, I am watching the occupation of Japan in Singapore. That was the worst thing to say at that moment of time. Because then he would tell me the whole history of Singapore. And I don't give a damn about that, And he telling me about the industry and what happened, what all the development and all of this. So you see, when somebody is very irritated, I like to put a little bit fire in that, So I thought, okay, the best way to shut up this driver is to ask a question, simple question. So I said, sir, you like eating food? He said, yes. Oh, okay. I said, do you like eating satay? He said, yes. I said, Singapore satay better or Malaysian satay better? So that question, completely quiet. And the moment he was about to talk, I reached my destination. So I said, thank you very much. Have a good day. And walked out, And when I turned my back, I looked at the window. He was like this, So I was, oh, this is good. This is so good. God bless, what to do. So, oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to say the Buddha bless. So this is a moment, especially during the time of the Corona time. I'm sure all of you have experienced. At that moment, I really truly experienced something very embarrassing in my life. I've never experienced this my whole life. You see, I used to always have this ego, thinking I am the Rinpoche, big Rinpoche, and I know how to do meditation. I have received many empowerments. I'm sure I know how to do this. So during the lockdown, during the lockdown of Corona, the first lockdown, I was in Singapore at that time, and 3 months stuck in Singapore. So 1 day, 2 days, then I saw in the news, in my phone, I saw the news announced by the whole world government. All the world was saying, oh, we are locking down this country, this lockdown, that lockdown, because of precaution of the virus and so forth. So I thought, oh, lockdown, so what? This is so good. This is free retreat. So I thought, I can manage it. I've done many retreats everywhere in the world, India, Nepal, Bhutan, it's okay. But I did not realize that I am not prepared at all in this matter. I felt so embarrassed. On the third day of the lockdown, then I realized anxiety really built up in my mind. I cannot sleep. I put down my head on the pillow, I cannot sleep. I'm overthinking. Oh, I start to watch a movie. I watch a movie, documentary, after one, after second, after third, after fourth, after fifth, so fast. Then I started to thought, okay, maybe I learn how to write calligraphy or maybe make some drawing. So I learned tutorial in the YouTube. That also did not work according to my wish. So during that time of lockdown, I really realized that I am really failing in meditation, that the Dharma practice has not synced properly inside me. So then I started to feel big embarrassment, big embarrassment. So then one day what I did, I woke up, I was doing my morning prayer session, and I visualized my teacher, my root teacher, and I visualized all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Dakas, Dakinis, Dharma protectors, everybody like right in front of me, clear and like there, excuse me. And then I really made a long practice that moment and meditation, and I, in my depth of my heart, I made a proper confession saying that I really failed as a Buddhist practitioner. I don't feel proud to call myself as a Rinpoche or as a Dharma practitioner or as a Dharma teacher. Then this was, I must say, it was a very crucial moment for me to realize that when we are faced with this kind of a, situation or circumstance, we have to be aware that are we really Dharma practitioners, or do we think we are Dharma practitioners? Because I feel like they are two different. Real Dharma practitioner or believing that we are Dharma practitioners. I am in the category of believing myself as a Dharma practitioner, whereas I am not really a Dharma practitioner at that time. So I realized that so much to work on. Then I realized the moment a little light of awareness came in my mind, I realized that there is no limitation to studying the Buddhism, analyzing the Buddhism, analyzing the teachings of the Buddha, the Dhamma, and to reflecting upon that continuously. So what really helped me during that time was I was constantly listening to, stories of the life story of the Buddha, the Jataka tales, like one after one chapter the other, and sometimes read stories of teachers, life stories of teachers of the past, Mahasiddhas of India and so forth, and sometimes listening to teachings of great teachers His Holiness Dalai Lama, or my root teacher, Jebu Tushi Rinpoche, or Dzongsa Khentse Rinpoche, and Zegal Kondro Rinpoche, all these great masters, and of course my Jebu Khentse Rinpoche also, of course. But I must say, one thing at that moment of time that was very crucial for me was I realized a very strong point in my mind that hit me, is I realized, oh my goodness, I'm here safe in my room, whereas whole world, everybody every day dying. Every hour, every time I look at my watch, somebody somewhere in the world dead. Somebody somewhere dead. Somebody somewhere dead. So constantly the predominant meaning of impermanence was happening at that time. So I thought to myself, goodness gracious, this is what Buddha said. When impermanence happens to you, be ready, be aware. And as a Buddhist, we always remind ourselves with this crucial point. We say, death is appreciation to life. And always we look at death as a true Dhamma practitioner, we are looking at death as the ultimate liberation, the ultimate freedom. But as a human being, I think in a practical sense, in a more easier, relatable sense, I think the more relatable sense for all of us is to look at death as appreciation to life. But now many of you may question, so if somebody dies painfully, accident, or gets murdered, or car accident, or sickness, or some very violent, sickness, and they die suffering. How about that? How can that person achieve a moment to remind themselves appreciation to life? You're right. You're absolutely right. You are right. That is true. So what I'm saying is that in generally, so I want to make myself clear also, so that we do not have misunderstanding and jumping on conclusions too fast. Is that this, what I'm saying, is applies to general point. Generally, I'm making a generalization point. I'm not saying that this can be applied every moment. There are some, as I said, death is the untimely knock on your door. Death comes any moment. You are enjoying with your family, you're happy, you're satisfied, you're content, you're looking at your grandchildren jumping and laughing and so happy at that moment. Time to go. Or maybe a time where you just graduated your studies, you're about to get your first job. Time to go. Who knows? Even time where you feel you will not die, death, they come. So that's why I must say it's not really for all of us. It is really, something that we must try to understand it in that way. If you know what I'm trying to say. I know it's not easy to understand immediately. I think maybe you take your time to reflect what I said slowly, then you could understand. I mean it in a general point, Also, one thing, you see, as a Buddhist practitioner, one thing is a very important point, I feel, is that especially in the vajrayana, Sangha Dorchi Thekpa, vajrayana. You see, the vajrayana approach to the three poison, to negative emotions, we look at that element as something of innate nature is pure, but it is just, temporarily clouded with negative thoughts and unnecessary distractions. When that is open, then pure form is there. For example, three simple thing I say, the three poison, Dosha, Shedang, Timuk, attachment, aggression, ignorance. Three. So, you see, attachment, innate nature, detachment. When transformation, detachment, rejoicement. Aggression, transformation into the purity is compassion, bodhicitta, patience. Ignorance, transformation into the pure form of itself is wisdom and clarity. You see, so Vajrayana explains in that term. Vajrayana has to be understood in that way. Now, I don't mean to be criticizing, but in the Theravada, ideology, the Theravada style, how they explain is they say, when you look at the three poison, it is poison. That's why we call the terminology poison. It should be always avoided. It's a bad news. Avoid at all time. This is very true. This is very good. Very good. Why? Most of you are parents yourself. You have children. When you have young children, what do? You do a little bit strict and disciplined. You don't allow them to go everywhere, put their finger and everything, You're quite disciplined because you don't want your child to hurt themselves, Very understandable. It's harsh, but understandable. Now, what do you do when the child grows up, teenage and adult? Then you start to Explain to them as an adult. Say, oh, you do like this, okay? You do like that, like this, like that, like this. You don't talk to them like a child, but you talk to them as an adult, one-to-one, person to person. Just like that. It's very important to understand that when we begin in Buddhism, we must start with that kind of notion of discipline, of what is right, what is wrong, what to be avoided, what not to avoid, what to accumulate, what not to do. That's very important. Direction, discipline, very important, very important. We have a saying in Tibetan, when you don't discipline soldiers, then we have a bunch of idiots. Just like that. Discipline is very important. I hope whoever is watching this video don't start ganging up on me just because they come from the military background. Yeah. All respect to the military, whatever. Yeah. So, very important. We must remind ourselves that. Starting from the step one, slowly. So that mentality is very important. So I always say one thing. Without Theravada understanding, without Mahayana understanding, very hard to understand vajrayana. Must have 3. 1, 2, 3 steps. Very important. Very important. This is something we must remind ourselves. This is how we were taught precisely, properly by the teachers of ourselves. I remember Khentse Rinpoche, my root teacher, when whatever teaching he did, he always reminding a simple thing as, don't forget Four Noble Truth, don't forget the true bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. Don't forget about motivation. Kulung lekpar chepa, he always used to say, don't forget about your motivation. So I feel this is very important. And he always used to say, have the right motivation and have the right conduct. Kulung kunchu. Say, kulung is motivation, kunchu is your conduct. Have proper. I think it's very helpful for us, So then sometimes I can tell you right now, when you listen or read teachings of great masters like Jimmy Lingpa, Patul Rinpoche, Sera Khando, or Jimmy Javinyugo, or Milarepa, Marpa, or Mahasiddha Virupa, Sara, all of them. One of the essential teachings, if you look at all similar. Why? Because they always remind you, motivation, don't forget. Everything is about the mind, don't forget. Be genuine, don't forget. Be mindful, don't forget. Don't be lazy, don't forget. Don't make excuses for yourself, don't forget. Don't forget to look inside, look inwardly, don't forget. So in that way, when we listen to that, we think that's very normal. That's very something I've heard a million times, is not that important. No, that is absolutely wrong. It's very important. Do not take the dharma for granted. Never take dharma for granted. Please take dharma like how you Chinese people eat food. Don't waste a single grain of rice. Just like that. Don't waste food. Don't take dharma teaching for granted. So it's very crucial. We must always remind. Sometimes even as simple as when you have the time, just sit down and contemplate on Four Noble Truths. That's the first teaching the Buddha ever taught verbally, as we believe. All Buddhists, we believe that. So that's why just focus on that sometime. Four Noble Truths. Sometimes just focus on the meaning of the 3 jewels: Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. How do we relate to them? As a Buddhist, we always say one thing, don't we? We remind ourselves, oh, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the Buddha is my mind, the Dhamma is my speech, the Sangha is my body, the Buddha is my mind, the Dhamma is my speech, the Sangha is my mind. We remind ourselves that meaning, but we should be actually understanding it. We should be contemplating it. We should be in that view also, remaining in that view. Stay in that moment of time. It's very important, very important. You see, some people have made criticized to me, saying, you very young, Rinpoche, you very young. You should teach the young people, better for you. So I just say one answer. I want to teach everybody. Young, old, doesn't matter. Teaching the Dharma should be everybody. Who want to listen, genuinely listen from me, then I must speak the Dharma. You see, you see difference. In the olden days time, great masters, even great yogis, simple Dharma practitioners, yogis, yoginis, great Dharma practitioners, anis and so forth, genuine practitioners, when you go to them and say, please teach me Dharma, they are so joyful. They say, please sit down, drink tea, let me teach you. Then they just pour out so much teaching, so much knowledge, so much kindness. You get almost shocked, I was very, very lucky when Khentse Rinpoche had requested the Jitsuma, the sister of the current, the main Saja Khoma Rinpoche in India. His younger sister presides in Canada. She is also a wonderful, Dharma practitioner, female Dharma practitioner in the Sajaba lineage. So as a Khentse, we are also connected to the Sacha lineage. So I had to receive the Sacha Vajrayogini Narukachuma practice. So Khentse Rinpoche instructed me to receive it from her. So I think Rinpoche also mentioned it to her. So I received her. When I first met her, the first impression I got, very simple housewife, husband, children, very simple. But when it came to giving empowerment, I felt she transformed into something completely divine. I could feel the sense presence of pure dharma inside of her, pure practice. So then I thought, oh, this is it, this is it. Nothing more, nothing more. So I was so shocked. I had not word to express my gratitude. So I thought, when you really practice Dharma, when you embody the Dharma teaching, doesn't matter. He, she, woman, man, doesn't matter. Whoever you are, when you embody it, you hold that. It's like you hold that. Yeah, you hold it, and you're not showing it off to people purposely, but naturally people can sense it. Yeah, people can sense it. It's like when you have very good quality aga wood, and when you burn one incense, just one incense in your room, big room, after the whole incense has, finished, still the smell of that fragrance aga wood still roaming in that room. Just like that, when a great practitioner is somewhere, we feel that presence, we feel that aura. Many story I have heard, from many people who have met the 16 Jawankamapa. Jawankamapa usually don't talk English at all. So many Westerners who have met Jawankamapa, everybody say the same thing, who have met Jawankamapa. They say they don't know what to say, even though he don't speak. Just His Holiness sitting, doing his own daily practice, doing something with his mala, chanting, or maybe talking to one of the attendants or one of the Rinpoches in that room. This is just that presence itself, that majesty, that brilliance, that wisdom, that kindness. It's So I think this is so amazing, because when you practice, I always like to joke one thing. When we chase after something, we never get it. But when we don't even want it, it comes to us. So it's like when you want to have this magnitude of gracefulness, when we chase after that, it doesn't seem to happen for us. Yeah, we try to dress properly, we try to look proper, we try to speak proper, but trying to immaculate or copy gracefulness doesn't work. But when we are inside, inwardly graceful, then that inward graceful quality just starts to show outside. Naturally, it's even though we don't ask for it, even though we don't want it, it's just radiating out. I think that is truly amazing. Truly amazing. Like just for example, the teachings of the Buddha, when you have time, when you just listen to like Four Noble Truths or simple teachings about compassion, even though you do not do much, just reflecting on that, you can feel the sense, the depth of that teaching. That is what I truly believe is a real blessing. As we say in Tibetan, Chinlap. Dambi chugi chinchilapa, Dharma practice blessing. That is what I truly believe it is, Yeah. So, you see, that's why sometimes you must understand, we have this tradition where a teacher puts a book or a statue on the people's head. I want to say that that's just one, how would I say this, like a gentle reminder for you to say the true blessing is within you. You just recognize it. This is a part of a blessing. This is just a reminder for you, but don't forget, don't leave the real blessing. That's within you. That you reconnect back, recognize back, and be in that moment. Be in that moment, So it's a simple matter reminder. You see, some people may feel like, oh, does this mean on your head? Does this mean the ultimate blessing? No. This is not the ultimate blessing. So I just wanted to clarify that also. Yeah. And also, I think as I was criticizing in the beginning when I said that you Chinese people like a lot of, this Zambala and all of this kind of thing, and also Sang and all of that. I want to tell you, please, you can dwell in all of that. That won't take you so far away. That won't help you to help nurture your mind. I was very shocked at one time where I was participating one Sang, big Sang puja in Hong Kong many years ago. And then many people came at that time. It was organized by the that time, invitee and so forth. There were many teachers, Sheshanam Rinpoche, Songsa Chinsa Rinpoche, Daton Truko, and many lamas at that time. But what shocked me in my life was that I saw Chinese people line up very eagerly, like a little child lining up to get an ice cream. Everybody line up, and what they did is the organizers handed out plates with the Sang substitute, and they were told to go around the Sang and offer it. Everybody was like, oh my God, and I thought, like I asked myself, in my whole life, right? I'm right now 31 years old. So in my whole life, I've witnessed many Sang. There was never a moment where I would jump out of my seat, go to that, as we say, chöpön, master of ceremony. Go to the master of ceremony and say, please give me that plate of the substance, and I will willingly, happily, eagerly go around the Sang 3 times and pray and do this in a very romantic manner. I've never done that. Because I don't see the point doing that. Because by doing that, I am putting my trust in something external. You see, when you put your trust in something external, it doesn't seem to help you that much. The external is blessed. Why? Because we say these statues and things were filled with relics and so forth. These were touched and blessed by great masters of the past, great yogis and yoginis, use this for practice. So because of this reason, we consider this as precious and wonderful and blessed. Just this itself is not that precious. It's just a compiled item made out of materials of metal and whatnot, and alloy and so forth, mixture of different alloys and so forth. So that is something we must remind ourselves. It's very important. And it's also important, you see, in our daily life. Some of us, we always ask this question, how do we how to say, put together Dharma practice and daily life. Okay, that's a very complicated issue. Why I say, I explain to you properly, is that you can't put two together. This is very difficult because Dharma practice is completely, whatever is taught in the Dharma practice is complete opposite in your daily work and job. So if you try to bring that attitude in your job, it's not going to work. When you have to, be ambitious and, do your best professionally in your job, and you're like, oh my God, I am full of kindness and bodhicitta. You want to cheat me? Please. You want to lie to me? Oh, please. You, my colleague, want to steal my coffee? Please. You want to, hey, taxi driver, you want to charge me extra? Please. I give you everything. That does not work. That does not work. That does not work, you see. Then we end up becoming like this movie, Hollywood movie. I'm sure, I don't know if you have seen this movie. There used to be this movie acted by Jim Carrey. I think it's called Mr. Yes or something. A guy who says something happens to him and he always says yes to everything. Yeah, something like that, So, but how we apply is, the way how we applying is, you practice the Dharma as much best you can. You be a best person you can and bring that wherever you go. Be practical. Buddha never said don't be practical. Buddha said be practical, be realistic. Don't forget to practice Dharma. Don't forget to remind yourself to be a genuine person. So let us focus on that every day and remind ourselves that over and over. I feel that is very important. Now, if I may say one thing. I was just reading some teachings of Milarepa. Sometimes I like to do that. So, there is something, you see. I think maybe now is a time nearly up. I don't want to take much of your time, so maybe I let now the time open for question and answer to all the participants here. Oh, okay. And before this begin, I would like to inform one thing very important. Tonight I have mentioned to our committee member here that I may not give the oral transmission of the calling the Guru from afar. The reason why is because many people are partaking in the Zoom today, and I'm quite hesitant to give Lung an oral transmission in the Zoom. That I have to be a bit careful and strict. So in our tradition, we always conduct such things through, face to face, in person. So because of such reasons, I hope that you don't mind. I may not be able to give the Lung tonight. I just wanted to focus on the Dharma teaching, and I hope everybody understands. And I'm very sorry for this inconvenience. Just want to clarify myself. And so also now I will open question and answer to all the participants here. So please ask your question. Thank you very much.
If you have a question, please raise your hand.
As a modern practitioners, modern people nowadays are so affected by their emotions and also the feelings, right? We sometimes cannot cannot skip the feelings even while we're practicing. As Rinpoche explained, how important the loving kindness and devotions or the bodhicitta, sometimes during the practice, this content, the practice will bring experience as well, some kind of feeling. So loving kindness, compassion, devotions, all comes with feelings as well. So my question, I'm wondering how, as a practitioner or as we are getting mature in our practice, how we distinguish the feelings, that kind of worldly feelings, mundane, that kind of, very sensitive, not trusting ourselves. We rely on the three rules. But the genuine devotion, genuine loving kindness arise from the mind. Sometimes they're accompanied with feelings as well. So my question would be how we distinguish, how we can confirm for ourselves that we have this genuine love and compassion from practice, not from that kind of worldly suspicion, worldly relying on something. I hope I'm making myself clear.
I understand, Anila. Thank you so much. So, this question, I think the best answer I could think for that one, and I hope I can answer you properly, is that what the best example for that I can think of is the matter of compassion, true compassion, and empathy. You see, very strongly it has been very clearly explained that, you see, when we say empathy we all have. We all do have some amount of empathy for ourselves and to others. Compassion is the one thing we don't necessarily have, because we human beings, we built ourselves in such a way that we like to focus more on ourselves, less on other people. We do focus on others if they matter to us, if they are relevant to us, if they are somebody who are loved ones of us, So, but compassion, true compassion happens through unlimitless to anybody. True compassion happens with knowing, with the wisdom, with experience. True compassion happens even to people who I just explained a few minutes ago in my talk, is that compassion, true compassion also must happen to people who have wronged us and harmed us also. We knowingly that particular person is responsible to harm us, we are still willing to put ourselves beyond, and knowingly we are showing compassion, kindness, and care to that person, genuinely, for the reason to be genuine, not the reason for any self-importance, of course. So that is something I could explain to you. One more thing I can answer you is that you can tell if you really feel something from the practice is when you know, when you conduct it, and when you, when you generate it in your mind, when you give rise to it, you don't hope for anything in return for yourself. And you don't doubt it also. You know what you're doing, you have full confidence in it, and you don't have anything in return, requirements, wishes, or attachment or clingingness to it. And when you have it, you forget it. So there's this very nice saying where a true gift is when you give somebody something for a good reason, and then you completely forget about it, Then you're like, I'm giving it to you, do whatever you want with it, that's it, bye-bye. So you don't ever think about it too much. Whereas when you give somebody something and then you hope for something in the return, like the English terminology, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, that's not true kindness or true gift. So that's what I would explain to you. I hope that can answer your question. Yeah? Thank you so much, Anila.
Rinpoche,
Yes.
it's a very normal mundane question
Yes.
in my mind all the time. Having heard everything and having been involved in Buddhism for a long time, I don't say I'm a good practitioner, I'm a lousy one. It's the fact that all of us here believe that what the Buddha taught, the Dharma, is so beautiful, so genuine. Yet, how come, despite your presence, there are only so few of us? And compounded that, how come such a beautiful teaching escaped the minds of so many people? What I'm trying to say that the population of the believers in Buddhism is so few and far away.
Yes. So, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, if I may call you uncle, yeah? Yeah. That's the proper terminology in Asia, so, uncle. So, uncle, so what I would definitely answer your question is, what you said is a very crucial thing that we Buddhists always have had in our mind, but we don't dare to say it out because we do not wish to hurt people's feeling or attract any unnecessary attentions. But the answer to that question, sorry, not a question, but the point you made, the answer I have for that is, unfortunately, you see, the one thing that we all know is Buddhism is never, has never, and will never, and has never been a religion. Buddhism is what? Buddhism is the transcendental truth of all reality. Buddhism is the transcendental truth of all reality. Yeah? Inner reality, outer reality. That is Buddhism. Okay? And also Buddhism is a way of life. And you see, Buddhism, we don't indoctrinate people. We don't have this mentality of spreading Buddhism. We do not have this mentality of converting Buddhism. And one thing you all know, as a parent, all of you know this, is you as a Buddhist practitioner, when you have children, if one of your child says, "Oh, mom, dad, I don't want to be, I want to be a non-believer," okay? "I want to be a Christian," okay? "Hindu," okay? "Muslim," okay? "Jewish," oh, okay? "Sikh," oh, "I want to be everything," oh, okay, you know. "I want to be Zoroastrian. I want to be a person who only follow and believes in a table." Oh, okay, you know. So we have that kind of mentality, don't we? I mean, I'm being really realistic here. I'm being really realistic. That is what we have. And also, one more thing, important point is Buddhism, we have a lot of homework. And all of us is, "Oh my God," you know. Yeah, really, this is true, yeah, isn't it? Like, I have some friends in the Muslim world, you know. There was one very amazing moment I must share, is that when I was in Singapore with, of course, my family, my mother and brother, my two sisters, and the lamas from Kanying also partaking, and all our wonderful beloved Singapore Sangha member and Chin and all of them, they are taking care. There was one moment of time, I must say, I experienced something extremely crucial, and I really think it was such a big eye-opener for me. During the time when my father was in the hospital medical care, same time there was this, that same moment of time, there was this Muslim imam from Saudi Arabia, and his wife was also in the hospital undergoing a lot of treatment because of cancer sickness. So you see, we Buddhists, you know, sometimes there are times we meet each other at the waiting room or whatever. We don't talk to each other, you know, we don't bother each other, you know. It's not a time where we're bothering anybody, yeah. We focus on our own duties and whatever. But you see, there were many times I personally experienced where this Muslim imam, you know, he would willingly come to our side, our table, and offer us sweets, water, fruits. He said, "Oh, please have it," you know, very genuinely. And there was one time where I went up at that time. We were taking turns. So I went up to my father to take care of him, and at that time they were doing changing and cleaning by the nurses and so forth, so I had to wait outside. So the Muslim Imam, he was also waiting outside there, and I could see he was using his rosary and praying to Allah. So me being very fascinated, I went to him and I said, please, can I hear you do your namaz, your prayer? So I want to listen. So he said yes. Then we went to a corner. Of course, it's in a hospital, so it's quite loud and whatever. So he started to do his prayer, and I told him, thank you. You trusted me to be in your presence when you were doing this. So really, to be honest with you, there's no camera there. There was no camera. There was no like, oh, Khentse Yangshi Rinpoche today did such a great thing. He made friendship with the Muslim. Not like that. I'm not going to get the Buddhist association, thank you very much for you. Not that. Nobody is going to give a damn about that, Some people may make fun of me, say, are you cuckoo, what, huh? Talking to some Muslim, what is this? But I genuinely walked up to him and talked to him, And there was a moment of time where, and his wife passed away the next day. So there was a time where I also took him, I took him to my father. My father was just next door to his wife. So I told him about my father. And so he expressed a lot of appreciation. He said, he feel a lot of very wonderful, genuine presence and like that. So I said, please, why don't you perform a prayer for my father? I said, it doesn't matter, And he was so surprised. He said, you want me to pray for your father? I said, yeah, please perform your whatever you need to chant. So he did, a long chant, the calling of Allah and everything, in the Urdu, So after that, he asked, please, now you pray for my wife who have just deceased, just a few minutes ago. I went, long hour, pray. Of course, I can't touch the body, it's not allowed, but long prayer. And afterwards, what happened was, I was very touched. I really had a tear in my eye because this person, he hugged me, very tightly hugged me. He said, thank you so much, thank you for your kindness. And I was so shocked in my heart. I thought, I realized that when you share genuine kindness to somebody, for the reason to be genuine kind, you're not asking for something in return, but that person also feels it and shares it back to you. You're not asking for it, okay? We're not asking for something in return, but we're just sharing, and he shared with me. Then I realized something, and the one thing I would never forget is he started to thank everybody, the cleaner, the worker, the toilet cleaner, everybody in that hospital, doctor, nurse, everybody, he thanked everybody. Very genuine. And he said, thank you so much. And he said, it doesn't matter. I'm Muslim, you're Buddhist, it doesn't matter. I'm so happy what you did, okay? I'm so happy. Thank you. And again, showing his gratitude. And I thought, this is what the Buddha did. This is exactly what Buddha did. The Buddha made sure we are all one. We are all included. As I was mentioning to everybody, we are all included. We all play a role in this. Now, what has happened that Buddhism decreased in the world is because what happened is, of course, time changed. We face a lot of troubles. We face a lot of conflict and so forth. But I always say one thing. As the Buddha very clearly said, me and my teaching of the Dharma cannot be destroyed from externally, only can be destroyed internally. Internal virus can destroy. So that's something we cannot forget. That is something I every day remind myself. I always say, I beg and request the Vajradhara, Guru Rinpoche, Buddha, Vajrayogin, everybody watch me, correct me, show me the way, show me sign when I do wrong, make me taste my wrongdoing. So constantly reminding myself to be careful what I conduct, whatever I do, body, speech and mind. I'm not at that level, but I'm still climbing slowly, gently, like the tortoise, But what is the big problem here that we are lacking is that because, you see, any other religion, either it is Muslim, either it is Christian, either it is Hindu or whatever, not much, to be honest with you, okay? And I don't want to say something stupid and ignorant in front of all the world and people to feel offended. I don't mean to that, but I just want to be clear is that in other religions, there are not that much well-known, how to say, for everybody, homework, yeah? There's not like, oh, today you go 1 month retreat of Christianity, yeah? Or 1 month retreat of Judaism, or 1 month retreat of Hinduism. I have not heard that many people mention about it. I could be 100% wrong. So anybody who know better than me, you can correct me. But that's what I have witnessed. So we human beings, we like to fall into the direction of something we don't need to do too much hard work. Too much homework we don't like. We don't like homework so much. That's why we tend to like to, do things more lazy way. So that's why the Buddha teaching in the Dharma practice, as you notice in the world, is much lesser compared to all other people who are following their faith. If you look at Islam, the biggest, Christianity, so big, Catholicism, big, Hinduism also very big, all other followers very big. Buddhism, we are lesser. In one hand, I think it's good. You know why? It makes sense also. It's not nice for me to say this, but I feel something. We are supposed to be people who practice and educate ourselves and imply the meaning of impermanence, aren't we? So it is kind of impermanence, yeah, that we are, decreasing, because then we get the sense of urgency. Oh, Buddhism is decreasing. We must do something. We must play a role. That's why what I said previously plays a role. Buddha makes sure we all